up, and you're allowing the head to just naturally curve back. So after we have gone, as an illustration, through our ranges of motion, our swaying action, now as we close our feet, there's a stretching action that as I close my feet, my abdominal muscles are stretching, and I'm creating a curve back through my center, out through my head. So it's not perfectly straight, even though we're going through a diagonal. There is a slight curve back. Okay, I'm going to change angle so that you can see that more clearly. So I have, say, 1, 2, 3. So there's not only an angle in the sway, but there's a very subtle curve back. So of course that will also apply whether I shape to my right, there's a slight curve back. So of course moving figures are going to be much more subtle in the stretch and the curve than line figures. So I just like to illustrate, say, a line figure for you. If I dance a throwaway, I have my sway, and of course there's also a curve back. You're going to use your head and body weight through many different actions, and that is your artistic stretch. And so the most important thing that we must understand is that we need to create that artistic stretch from the right area. And that, again, is from the abdominal muscles lengthening and stretching so that you can produce a curve. Again, never trying to compete necessarily against the lady because, again, her shape is going to be much fuller. It is relative to counterbalancing her shape so that we can remain balanced as a couple. And that is artistic stretch. Number 7, linear motion. Linear motion is simply your distance traveled from point A to point B. Now, how we can increase the drive from point A to point B when we're dancing is what I mentioned earlier in terms of our forward or backward walk. So basically from here, if you'll notice, I'm going to stand on my left foot for this example with my right foot free. If I use my body weight too early in the process, it's going to shorten the distance I travel from point A to point B. So if I want to travel further, again, I need to put the weight in the middle of the foot to the heel. As I flex through the leg, I'm now in a position where I can use the leg to drive my body and center a greater distance. So whether it's from the whole of a foot position or from a toe to a toe heel, it is simply the leg power that you use from A to point B. Now what I'd like to do at this time to put all these actions in perspective is we have ranges of motion, we have sway, we have artistic stretch, and now we have linear motion. Our job as dancers, whether it's male or female, is to keep these actions all in balance so that we produce maximum shape and maximum dynamics. So what I'd like to illustrate to you right now is we'll say a reverse turn or a left box turn, say an American. Now, I can have all of those ingredients in terms of my range of motion, my sway, and metronomic, but possibly the linear motion as far as distance is lacking. So I'm going to be technically very, very good, but I'm traveling a very, very short distance. Okay, so you could say that's very nice dancing, but not as dynamic as you'd like to be. Okay, then of course you can have another dancer who does not have those ingredients as far as the range of motion, the sway, and of course the artistic stretch, but boy, do they have a lot of drive. Okay, they have a lot of leg drive. So our job as dancers is to try and keep a balance of all those 4 factors. So what I'd like you to focus on is that your linear motion is your leg drive. You must supply leg power, whether you're going forward or side or back and then side. Okay, that's your basic leg drive. That's going to transport you from point A to point B. Now, where you have the technique in terms of placing the lady to the inside of turn, the counterbalancing of that force of movement with your sway and your artistic stretch, is that that will enable you, when you put more power in, to stay on balance and, of course, be very dynamic and flexible in your shape. Okay, so what I'd like to illustrate now is all those 4 points together. So I'm going to put a lot of drive into count 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So in discussing linear motion, it is basically the leg drive driving you from point A to point B, but keeping in mind that you must use those 3 other techniques, which are the ranges of motion, the sway, and the artistic stretch, to counterbalance that extra force of drive that you're going to use to move more powerfully across the floor. And that is linear motion. Number 8, promenade position. Now, in discussing promenade position, I'd like to turn sideways to the camera so you can have a better viewpoint. Now, I'd like you to focus on 3 different alignments. Number 1, I'm going to turn from the waist area down, so my feet are going to be traveling along the line I'm going to be moving on. Number 2 will be my belt buckle, or my center, which will be a different angle, which will be to the right of my feet. Number 3 will be my sternum, which will be even further right of my belt buckle. So if I lift my arms, if you can see it from this angle in the camera, you can see as I walk along, I have 3 different points of position. Now I'll face the camera so you can see it from a different angle. So what I'm going to focus on is rotating from my waist area down, turning my feet to the direction that I want to travel. I'm feeling my belt buckle is to the right of my feet. My sternum is to the right of my belt buckle, so that my arms and frame are towards the lady. And now I want to move freely through in promenade position. Now, this basic action is very, very difficult, because what most gentlemen do is that they turn the belt buckle equal to their feet and also their sternum. And if you can see from the angle I'm giving you what happens to my shoulders. Okay, so we get a lot of distortion, and as a result of that, the lady is going to get pulled or hooked with my right arm. So an exercise that you can have for your right arm would be holding the palm upward in a diagonal, and then just simply bending the elbow, feeling as though that the arm is shaped for the lady and that it is not pulling back. So also we can add to this, I have a little device here called the shoulder horn, and this can help a lot of the men in terms of their basic posture as well. If they're feeling a little imbalance in the shoulders, I'm going to place it over my neck, put my arms in it. Now what will happen is it kind of locks my shoulder into position, so it doesn't allow me to twist the shoulders. If you do, you're extremely strong. So if I rotate my feet, my low center, and my sternum in these directions, I can move freely through. So as you can see, there's a lot of separation from my base, my belt buckle, which would be my low center, and of course my sternum, which would be called my high center. Now, what I'd like to discuss with you in terms of promenade position is the relationship in left turns and also right turns. So I'd like to just take a left turn. If I dance an open telemark, what I'm going to feel is that I get a strong swiveling action from my waist area down, turning my base more than my body. Okay? The problem that most men have in leading a left turning figure going into promenade position is, again, these 3 basic alignments tend to all merge together, and of course, we have problems with the lady being pulled. So it's very important you think 3 separate alignments: feet, low center, high center, in terms of being offset, okay? So if I dance my open telemark, of course you've got your range of motion, you have your sway, and of course you're going to use the stretch through your abdominal muscles for your artistic stretch. You turn the base more than the body. Again, focusing on the right arm being the ladies. Do not bring the arm in front of you. Okay, so now in a right turning figure, we are going to turn the body more than the base. So I'll give you a few different angles of this. If I dance an open impetus, once I finish pivoting my feet, I'm going to feel that my base, my body, hands, and arms continue rotating to the right well past my feet. Then I'm back in that same relationship again. So again, it's very, very important that you think of those 3 different alignments. I'll change the angle again so you can see that. So from here, after I bring my feet together and I finish pivoting, my hips, my belt buckle continue turning to the right, my sternum continuing to the right. Now I'm in the proper alignment to come out into promenade position. Now, one more position I'd like to discuss. Once we're in promenade position, let's say as we rotate to the left for some type of weave or left turning action, we must keep those 3 points in the same position. Okay? So what I mean by that, if I turn in a circle and I've got those 3 points lined up and I just simply walk around in a circle, my job as a leader is to keep those points constant. So where we start to pull the lady, because she'll be on the outside of the turn, is where those 2 points, the belt buckle and the sternum, start to become equal to the feet. Then all of a sudden we line our bodies up perfectly square, the lady gets pulled. So let's say, for instance, I'm dancing promenade into some type of weave from promenade. As I go through my curve, I must maintain those 3 alignments in the most consistent form that I can, okay? So just reviewing, in left turning figures for promenade, the base will turn more than the body. In right turning figures, going to promenade, the body turns more than the base. And that is promenade position. Number 9, outside partner positions. Now, in our outside partner positions, we have 2 actions where we have one going backward through a lowering action and one going forward through a lowering action. And of course, we have 2 actions going outside partner, going backwards, where we're in an elevated position, and also going forward in an elevated position. So what I'd like to do is describe briefly what I'm going to be doing through those positions. So first of all, as I land on my right foot, as I lower going backwards, I'm going to feel as though, again, my blocks of weight are lined up. So the posture that we gave you earlier, where you took your hand and you felt as though that your tailbone and all your blocks of weight were lined up perpendicular to the floor, is going to apply here. So when you lower through your right leg, moving backward through your hip, try not to pitch your body weight forward or, of course, fall back. Okay? So what's going to happen is the crease of that right hip as you lower through your right leg and hip is going to create a range of motion. Okay? So it's very important that hip pulls back and releases as you bring the left leg in. Okay? Now, as I do this, I have a little exercise for us here, a piece of elastic. What I'm going to feel through my rib cage area as my hip is releasing and pulling back, I'm going to feel that I'm getting a strong stretch through my abdominal muscles. So as I do that, I'm stretching, creating that range of motion, and of course now I can step back. And that shaping, and I'll take that from a different angle so you can see it, as I lower through my right leg and hip, I'm pulling through the hip, shaping my left side forward, stretching through my abdominal muscles, will help me create enough shape and space for the lady to step outside partner. Quite often, when a man steps back trying to get the lady to go outside partner position, they just simply lower and go straight back. So there's no lead as far as shaping the hip to invite them outside partner. So that range of motion and that feeling of stretching through the abdominal muscles will greatly enhance, giving them the feeling that they can go outside partner as you step back. Now, also, as you're giving them that action, I'd like you to feel through your arms and hands that your hands and arms are theirs. Never feel as though through your backward action that your arms are pulling back as your base is working back. Feel as though as your base is working back, your hands are breathing forward to give them their own balance and shape. Now, in going outside partner, going forward through a lowering action, I'm going to, again, use my range of motion through my left leg, stretching through my abdominal muscles, connecting, again, as we talked about earlier, the shoulder and the hip down, allowing the hands to breathe forward to the lady's axis point, okay? Too often, we land through the lowering action, the legs and hips are inactive, and we just simply go very square through them, and of course, we'll either hit their hip or it makes it very difficult to bypass the lady's body. So again, that range of motion through the left leg and hip as you lower, stretching the abdominal muscles with that elastic, letting the hands breathe, feeling the lady can get to that axis point, and your right shoulder and hip are connecting down, enables you to get outside partner. So those are the two forward and backward outside partners through a lowering action. Now, through an elevated position, as in a weave, what my recommendation is in terms of not creating too much torque or being too square is that you turn 1/8 with your low center, which is your belt buckle. So we're going to say, if I back the camera, that if this is a right angle and I'm square 90 degrees to this point, I'm going to turn my belt buckle about 1/8 of a turn to my right. I'm going to change the angle of my hip. That will be sufficient enough shape for the lady to move outside partner. So if I can illustrate that from a different angle. So again, if this is my right angle, I'm going to turn my belt buckle about 1/8. I release my hands. That shaping of the hips will be sufficient for the lady to move outside partner. Again, the reason you shape the hips is so that the lady gets the signal to go outside partner and not get caught on your right hip being in too square a position. Of course, the other factor is that our body and hip lines are much slimmer. Now, when we move forward in an outside partner position, again, what is going to happen is that, again, we're connecting from the prior figure to our axis point. The leg goes out ahead in terms of our sway, and that shape, about 1/8, as we stretch our rib cage, will help us go outside partner. So again, it all starts from the range of motion. If we land on the slow and then we try and rotate, we're going to be too late. So the leading process, if you can rotate through the quick to the slow, that gives her plenty of signal that we're shaping the hips, we change the angle of the hips. That stretch enables us to go outside partner much more freely. And that is outside partner position. Number 10, lane changes. Now, in discussing lane changes at this time, I'd like to invite Heather on, if I may, to give you a few examples of my idea of lane changes. Now, in terms of lane changes, we're going to pick up with 4, 5, 6 of a reverse turn in waltz. So what I'd like you to think of, gentlemen, is this. Because we're in an offset position, we're going to say that the man is in lane 1, the lady is in lane 2. Now, as I use my range of motion to go from count